Guys, we have the Spain results this weekend, and I guess the results are kind of interesting. Not in the new format yet, that only comes into play in October 10. So we got a few more formats where, Premium MV is still different, but it's still kind of cool to see what's going on. What's going on in the world, right? And especially in Standard, there's no changes. So let's kind of get started with this. So Standard first off, we have the top 8 here. There were 2 Nirvana, 1 Gravidia, 1 Flagberg, 1 Prison, PBO, Bav Saga, and 1 Zorga. So basically, there's a lot of everything except for Nirvana. Nirvana gets like 2 tops in the top 8. But then in the top 4, we see that this has changed to Romain M coming in first place with the Prison deck. And then second was Vincent S with the PBO. Then Romain W with the Bav Saga. And then Mr. Nuno Ramundo with the Nirvana top. So the world champion of what used to be Standard, now V Premium, getting a 4th place finish, which is pretty good. And yeah, I guess these tops are pretty interesting. I think this is the first big PBO like top as well, in terms of making it into like the final placements, like 1st to 3, and then we get that Prison, the Bav Saga, very very cool. And these 3 get that top 3 into Worlds. And then let's kind of take a look at some of these decks. So first off, we've had that Prison list, just kind of your good old Prism deck, still running Lamone, which is quite interesting. And then also has the 3 Rouge, but SSR, very cool. But otherwise, the rest of it's kind of normal, right? Kind of normal. With Bowlmean as well. Okay, that's cool. And then second place, we do have the here is the PBO deck. Right, PBO deck, just blasters popping off. PBO in the ride line, just the speedy version. And also two blaster darks, which is quite interesting. Normally, everyone just runs like 1, but this guy went for the 2. And then third place was the Bav Saga here. So just Bav Saga, pretty much. The new festival collection stuff, very aggressive. We have seen, like, again, Europe seems to be the home of Bav Saga. Quite a few of these topped in a BRO as well, so quite cool. And then in 4th place was Nuno's Nirvana deck. Very simple, very easy, very effective, right? Just straight up go ham with the 4 Amelias as well. So we've been seeing weird kind of combinations of this. A lot of people run less of this just to stack up more of the other cards, like more Virenas. But otherwise, yeah, just 4 is still good too, right? 4 is still good. And then lastly, just because I played Wolfren in BRO before, top 8 with Zorga, not bad. Red Zorga, and yeah, must have been very, very good. So unfortunately, died in top 8 it seems, but there's always a next time, right? Always a next time. So very, very good. But let's kind of look at V Premium now. This is where the interesting stuff happens. So you look at this pie graph, and it's not just 8 Steam Maidens. What is this? There is an Enigman list as well. Isn't that crazy? Right, isn't that crazy? But let's take a look at this. So we've got the 2 Steam Maidens coming in first, and then we have the 2 Bermuda Triangles. These are the Highlander, kind of Ange Highlander versions. Then have the 1 Narukami, 1 Genesis, 1 Link Joker, and 1 Dimension Police. Right, 1 Dimension Police. That's quite cool, right? That's quite cool. And then here is the top 4. So we have the Nestor E with the Steam Maidens coming first. As expected, right? We just basically expect Steam Maidens just dominate everyone. But then we have Mohammed A, good old Mo, coming in with the 2nd place Astral Poet. So well known for playing OTT and Genesis. Mo actually was on a roll all the way in Springfest and manages to secure an invite into Worlds at Spain with a good old Astral Poet. And it's actually not a bad pick when you think about it. In fact, a lot of these decks aren't totally bad picks into what you'd expect to be a Steam Maiden. But I think a lot of these players also just decided to take these because they're just their comfort picks. I can tell you that Mo would be very happy playing Genesis. And also Nuno Raimundo, again, getting another top, this time 3rd place with Narukami Vanquisher. And I can guarantee you that he would love playing the Vanquisher. All right, so that's great, that's great. And then 4th was Xavier with the Ange Highlander build. Now, when you think about this, well, let's just quickly take a look at the decks, right? So first off, we have the Steam Maiden list. This one is the one that we know this list basically pretty much off by heart now. It's just very effective, very strong, very cool. Let's take a look at the Astral Poet. So here we see that Mo was running the PR, which is quite interesting. But The reality is it doesn't matter. Right, it doesn't matter. Astral Port, you go first against Steam Maiden. You just do your thing. They basically have to pray they have PGs or heal guards, and then or they're just dead. That's it. That's as hard as it gets. Right? If they PG you, you just do it again, and hope they die the next turn. Right? Pretty much it. And then same thing also with Nuno's deck. So you look at this Vanquisher. What is Vanquisher good at? If it goes first, you can just pop off with basically 0 CB. Your opponent can't guard, well, that's that, right? If they heal guard, they can search for the heal guard and, like, you know, get one. But, you know, you still hit over triggers as well. So, yeah, just rush, push. And Vanquisher does convert back a lot of the field into hand as well. So, at least you can guard a first turn for, against Steam Maidens. Or you can just, like, guard early, take no damage, pop off yourself, and then watch him try to, like, kill you from 0 to 6, which is relatively impossible, and then go for that kill turn next. Right? You can bind their stuff, it doesn't matter. Bind all the stuff they want, as long as you're pushing the damage, you win. So these are basically great decks that work very well going first against Steam Maiden, and if you go second, well, that's just too bad, right? You just pray. You just praise, right? And then in fourth place, we have the Anj Highlander deck. So yeah, what can you do with this deck? You just play Kuchir, right? So the thing is, when you play against Steam Maidens, is to survive their kill turn, you need a lot of cards in their hand. So guess what can get you a lot of cards in your hand, and that is Kotir, right? So what you basically just try and compress as hard as possible, get a huge hand, and then hope you can guard their big turn while just compressing your deck so you get triggers as well. So their turn gets easier to guard. Or if you get 2 triggers, then you kind of stop their turn. And then you also pressure them with, like, you know, Anj, you know, having like multi-attacks and getting a fat force stack. That's also still pretty hard to guard against as a Steam Maiden player. There's still a lot of pressure there, right? So you still have your outs, or otherwise just high roll with your Pearl Sisters, and you can just destroy them as well. So they're okay picks. They're not the Steam Maiden pick, I would say, but they at least still have a chance, right? Better than something like Great Nature, for example. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone wants to see the Dimension Police deck as well. It was a Enigman one, and you can see this is pretty meme. We have Enigman here, then we have the original Saver Zero as well. What is this? What's going on? You got the Brad Black, and yeah, this is basically the list. I don't know if it's as good as the other lists that we usually see from Dimension Police, right? You know, you have the the combo Brad Black into, you know, Zeal and stuff. But I guess, like, when you think about it, if you have this Eternity Chaser, at least you can guard something, right? You can on a Steam Maiden Colossus turn, you can pop this and maybe save one of the attacks, which is pretty cool, right? If you have multiple of these, then you might be able to save multiple attacks, which can save you a lot of hand and guarding. Very, I guess it's kind of some interesting tech. Maybe this is like hyper high level thinking. But hey, you know, again, if you Brad Black into something and then just bash them, sometimes they die too, right? Sometimes it works. So pretty much that. Anyway, let's move on to premium. So we have Aqua Force, lots of representation here. Also, lots of Link Joker, and then 1 Gear Chronicle and 1 Narukami. So, this is interesting, right? If you look at the pie chart, 3 Ripples, 2 Chaos, and what looks to be 1 Messiah, or 1 Deleter deck, right? And then we have the MFD, which is going to be gone soon. And then we have the Vanquisher, which is the Narukami. And basically, I think from this, we just see there seems to be like 1 Deleter every single premium, every single VCS so far, right? So it's like, I guess like that's like the maelstrom of like premium. But yeah, I some of you might be wondering what's going on. What's with the chaoses? Where is Irads, right? Is Narukami bad now? I saw the representation chart. I think there was only 1 Narukami player, and that was the Vanquisher player. So basically, all these ripples faced against no Narukamis, right? But instead, they faced against Chaos, which is actually not a great matchup for them. So, pretty crazy. If you look at the top 4, we have MFD coming first from Denzel B. And then you have Kevin S coming second with the Chaos. And then we have third with Yoan B with the Ripples beating Gillian P with the Chaos. So, Yeah, this is I can see MFD just steamrolling Chaos, right? Nothing really to talk about. It's a bad matchup, but Ripples versus Chaos is not an easy matchup. Kind of their counter, kind of a bad matchup. So yeah, pretty crazy. In terms of what we're gonna look at, there's no point really looking at the MFD and the Ripple decks, to be honest. So we're just gonna look at the Chaos decks. And here's the first one. I'm running this this PR tech, Lady Searcher of Planetary Minerals, to just kind of get an unlock during the battle phase, to just pop to like unlock their lock units, and then you can use your Chaos Breaker to just pop them, right? Pop the excels during their battle phase, which is pretty cool. You can already do that though with like Destiny Guardians, but you know, that's just like an extra card, which kind of just works out. And otherwise, yeah, that's how you cuck out some Ripple decks. And then the second Chaos deck here, we have them not running that at all, just running a more Chaos-focused engine, with a bit of high roll associated. So we have like the we have this guy. This used to be the PR Lagranjard. That's right, and you can kind of pop the Volcos early, and then otherwise, you know, some Starvader PGs, and then some closes as well. Yeah, and then just you can still do. Does he have Destiny? Yeah, he's got 2 Destiny. There's no way you don't run Destiny Guardian in this deck, because it's just a powerful G guard, right? And then otherwise, it's kind of how you can, I guess it's how you can kind of stop the excels, right? So that's kind of cool. And that's kind of it. That's kind of all the decks that we can look from BCS. But there was also another tournament that happened in Japan, and here we go. We have the Chiho Cup, which I think is Sendai Championship. And it's similar to the Vanguard Deluxe tournament. This is apparently like a regional. So only, I think, the first place makes it through. But other than that, it's still teams. There's still a diversity cut. And that means that we see a lot of different decks. So this is the top 8 after Swiss, after they cut it out. So first place team was running Gravidia, Bastion, Overlord. And second was running Nirvana, Prison, and Bastion. And third had Prison, Nirvana, and Kyoka. So apparently, I think this was all the X0s. The rest was due to diversity cuts. So if you look at fourth place, then we have the Prison, Letitia, and the Bruce. So we're seeing definitely some unique decks there. And then in fifth place, we have Grade 3 Bruce, Overlord, and Prison. And then in sixth place, we have the Bastion, Prison, and Bavsagra. Seventh, we had Gravidia, Overlord, and Hazelite. And then in 8th place, we had the Overlord, Gravidia, and Bruce. So, as we can see, a lot of people taking Bruce as well. You know, Prison seems to be very, very well represented. As well as Bastion. Bastion just seems to be like it's like the Japan thing, right? But otherwise, I think we're seeing some, like, because of the diversity cut, we're seeing some really weird kind of decks. Well, not seen as much, right? We see a lot of people just taking the Bruces because it's kind of like a super less popular, just like by looking at these, right? But then you look at, we have the Letitias, and that's kind of where the new, like, Lyrical Monasterio stuff comes into play. Some of the ride lines from Lyrical Monasterio 3 aren't tier 1. A lot of them are just like tier 2, or like maybe even tier 3, or like low tier 2, for example, right? But they're at least playable, and if you take it to these tournaments, they can at least win, which is good enough, because then they kind of secure your start, at least in the diversity sector. So like these Hazelites and like the Letitias, that's great. If the Kyoka also didn't make it, was an X1, they probably would have made it too, because the Kyoka was not played at all. So this is like a diversity cut kind of like team idea, team play. And that's what you can do. Like, Bavsagra pretty much fulfills the same thing. Because, like, Bavsagra, strong tier 2 deck. Probably not many people playing it just because the massive amount of tier 2 decks in the meta at the moment is just, like, insane. How many other Bavsagra decks do you think will be in X1? Probably not that many. So, kind of a good pick just because of that. And then if we want to look at the top 4 who actually came first place was actually the Kyoka team. So we have the Nirvana, Kyoka, Seraph coming first. And second was the Hazelight team as well. So we have the Gravidia, Overlord, Hazelight. And then third was pretty much the more meta team, right? Let's say Gravidia, Overlord, and Bruce. But then in fourth, we have the Bavsagra team as well. So that one was Bavsagra, Pure Light, and Bastion. So basically, you know, if you can ninja yourself in on a diversity, right, then, you know, that's still a win. That's still, like, placing very, very well. And we can take a look at some of these decks. Again, if you want to see the decks already here, the deck logs are written underneath here. You have to use Japanese deck log, right? But let's take a look at 3 of these decks. So first was the Kyoka list. This was run by the winning team. Very high rarity. We also see some of the old cards being used here. We have the Melty. Insane price now because this is used in so many things. We also have the Aileen as well, right? And then also we have the old, this is Victoria, oh no, Virginia, I think, for the counter charge. And basically this is kind of like if you already have the old Kyrie engine, you can just, and some of the new stuff for Kyrie or something like that, you can just plop them in and you have a pretty good deck for Kyoka. But this one at least dodges all the other Kyries. But just looking back here, just looking at the Sendai results, I don't really think there were that many Kyries, right? There was basically 0 Kyries. So that's actually insane. Why are people not taking that? Can they just not afford that deck? I don't know, right? I don't know. The second deck we look is the Hazley deck as well, but we see some usual suspects. We see them running 4 Yuika, 4 Melties. That is a lot of money. But again, this Melty just coming into play, and in a deck that is supposed to run cards that have like less power than normal, right? And these definitely have normal power. I'm just gonna put it that way. But also running the 30k shield, which is really, really cool. And the third deck we're going to look at is just the Bruce deck that came in top 4. This is another grade 3 Bruce. And this is very, very similar again to the old Bruce lists we saw. The old grade 3 Bruce we saw with just the, you know, addition of Julian. And then, you know, they still have the 20k shield. But that is pretty much it. They added like 4 Julians. And this deck is already better than the grade 4 version of Bruce, right? So that is it today. Again, if you want to look at the deck logs for Japan, you know, they're all here. They're all under the thing. But otherwise, that is it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.